हे व्हाट्सअप गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू अनदर वीडियो। तो ये चैनल का पहला पॉडकास्ट होने वाला है और आज के गेस्ट है यश फ्रॉम IIM अहमदाबाद जो जस्ट ग्रेजुएट हुए हैं। वी हैव टॉक्ड अ लॉट अबाउट हिज MBA जर्नी, फ्रेश एस्पिरेंट्स के लिए क्या गाइडेंस है एंड प्लेसमेंट प्रोसेस में एग्जैक्टली क्या होता है। और इसके अलावा भी हमने बहुत सारी बातें करी हैं, तो प्लीज पूरा पॉडकास्ट देखिएगा। तो आराम से बैठिए, रिलैक्स करिए एंड एंजॉय करिए ये कॉन्वर्जेशन को।
So hi Yash, welcome to the first ever podcast on Technobhishek YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
By the way, जितने लोगों को नहीं पता, Yash was like in my whole journey from last 1.5 years कि कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, from being CAD to GDPI, he has been there and finally last year में ये video record करना था, but finally we have got chance to create a video. So yes, we have created this podcast into 3 segments. First is about your journey and your experience. Second is the main gist of placement process in all the top B schools. And finally, advice for young aspirants, new aspirants and fresh graduates. And उसके बाद में थोड़ा chill round रखेंगे.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
So let's get started from the beginning. What made you choose IIM Ahmedabad? And was it your dream B school from the first day itself?
Like the moment you think of MBA in India, IIM Ahmedabad is the first thing that comes to mind. Like any institute you join, they'll be like, we'll teach you so that you end up in IIM Ahmedabad, right?
Yeah.
So obviously it was like my top choice, not just from the brand also. A lot of factors to it, the kind of networking you get to do here, the kind of alums this college has brought into, the campus itself. But yeah, more or less, ranking was the main decision that if I'm doing MBA in India, might as well do it from the best college here.
So how was your first day at IIM Ahmedabad when you entered?
Oh, first day was very nerve-wracking because the thing is, even before coming, like on day one of IMA, you get to hear who else made it to IMA. You'll see all these top shot profiles, and even the seniors. We have this something called Day Zero here. So Day Zero is like a sample lecture at IMA. I remember there itself they told us कि 8:45 lecture है तो 8:45 exact dot आने चाहिए, 8:45:01 को भी entry नहीं मिलेगा, right? So obviously I was excited to be in those classrooms. Like I had seen them in videos so far. It was like very excited to be here, but absolutely nervous. And then you come here, you meet here people, everyone, like the person sitting left to you is from IIT Bombay, sitting right to you is IIT Delhi. So all these hotshot people. So it's nervous, yes, but it's exciting.
Can you showcase a day in your IIM Ahmedabad journey जब आप सिर्फ 4 घंटे सोए?
Honestly, most of the days मैं सिर्फ 4 घंटे सोया हूँ. So one of the things about MBA is obviously it teaches you to manage time, but somehow you still end up spending like 18 to 20 hours doing some or the other thing. So on most nights, including weekends, मैं 4 से 5 घंटे सोया हूँ. But yeah, a typical day, let's just say, I'll tell you about my recent term 6, any random day. You could have classes anytime from morning 8:45 till night 8:30 based on whatever schedule you have chosen. उसके बाद there's some other submission. All submissions at IMA are by default 11:59 p.m. right? तो मतलब till 12 you're doing the submission itself. ठीक है? So 12 o'clock you're done with your submissions. Then you'll think about having dinner or something. उसके बाद next day there will some case discussions in class. So you have to read cases for that. So obviously you spend some time there. There's some assignment, some research work. तो anyway 2-2:30 तो बज ही जाते हैं. Then you sleep at 3, 8:45 you have your classes again. So anyways, the window to sleep is 4 to 5 hours.
So do you have any trick to manage this hectic schedule you have?
So see, it depends because I am saying 4 to 5 hours hote hai, but I know people here in my batch who sleep 6 to 8 hours very soundly. Right? The people who add sports to their daily routine, the people who go to gym every day. It's a very personal thing what you want to do. Right? So some people chose to take all classes in the morning. So 8:45 se leke 4 o'clock tak they'll have a very packed schedule, and then post 4 they're free. Right? I sort of kept it very chill. Morning 2 classes, afternoon 1, evening 2 classes. It all depends on what your priorities are. But time mil jata hai. See, if you want time for extra activities, you'll always find it.
And what was the motivation for you? Like,
So like to do MBA?
no, while being in Ahmedabad, like there is a very rigorous day and you are at a very low stage of your day.
Oh, okay, fair. So honestly, hota hai, like see, because if you like it or not, you will get overwhelmed by submissions at some point. There have been days जहाँ 3 अलग-अलग subject के submissions है. One of them is a group activity, so you are relying on others to be free, right? One would be some random presentation you have to make. One is a report. So you get fed up at some point. You get tired at some point. What I used to do is, the campus is very beautiful. So just take a walk, just step out, just go to the sports complex, walk around there, go to one of the eateries, or just very simple. The dorm culture here is pretty good. So just go to a friend's room, chill there for half an hour, disturb them from whatever work they were doing, and just come back and get back to assignments. Because see, कुछ भी बोलो, deadline is 11:59. तो 12 बजे तक तो submission करना ही है, right?
So you just talked about culture in the dorm. So what is the unique thing about IIM Ahmedabad?
Okay, so unique things, not per se, but there are a lot of things that makes IIM Ahmedabad different. So for example, we have this something called a survivor t-shirt photo shoot. ठीक है, so basically it means कि you survived your first year at IMA. So when your term 3 ends, essentially before first year ends and you go for your internship, we have this one place in one of the dorms जहाँ पे एक ऐसा blackboard बना है और उस पे all the things about first year are written, all the quizzes, all the intense things you went through, and we get this one survivor t-shirt. So every person in the entire batch wears that t-shirt and gets a photo click there, and that's our survivor photo shoot. So it's a very IMA thing.
So coming to placement, I guess you are already placed right now.
Right.
So are you happy with your placement? I don't know I should ask this or not, but
No, absolutely. So the good thing about IME is, by hook or crook, everybody ends up getting the placement that they want. See, you might not get the first priority or first preference you want, but you definitely get your top 3 or top 5. So more or less, I guess the entire batch is happy with the placements, and so am I.
and how's the atmosphere inside Ahmedabad right now during placement season?
Okay, so placements at IME are a very short affair. So it's like we only have 3 days of placement. We call it C1, C2, C3. Okay? And all 3 days are spread across a week. So in 1 week, the entire batch gets placed. So obviously, you can assume the atmosphere is very intense, very stressful in that 1 week. And prior to that 1 week. So typically, क्या होता है? Like just say 10 days before or 1 week before the final placements, we get a little bit of leeway from the institute. Classes नहीं होती है. So that 1 week is everybody's preparing. There are some calls happening from companies. There are new shortlists coming. So you get to know what interviews you have lined up. And then there's the first day, which you call C1 over here. So you will see out of just say 500 ka batch hai, you'll see around 200 people get placed on day 1. Right? So day 1 पे 200 लोग place हो गए. Then day 2 you see only 300 people are left. So उनमें से फिर 200 और place हो गए. Then day 3 the last 100 are left. So as we progress from C1 to C3, the pressure obviously increases, right? But at the same time, there are people who are getting offers and getting out of the system. Their competition is also decreasing. So it's a mix of both stress. You look for opportunities. The system here is designed in a way that it matches you to the best of your preferences, right? If you give I have this preference of top 5 companies, the system will try their best to match you to that preference, right? So that's one good thing about being here at IMA. So that's one thing I love about the placement process here. There's something unique that not all IIMs follow. I mean, there are few IIMs which follow a similar system, but this is something that works really well at IMA.
So what was your preparation strategy to get this job you are landed right now? Like there was a secret sauce you were following, or
preparation strategy obviously depends on a lot of things. One is what kind of job you're looking for, because each sector has their own preparations. So on a broad scale, there's consulting jobs, there are finance jobs, there's marketing, sales, right? There's product management roles, there's technology roles. All of these are very different sectors, each requiring their own preparation, right? So for example, let me start with consulting. If you are applying for a consulting role, so all your interview is going to be a case interview. So essentially what it means is, आप interview room में जाओगे, there will hardly be any question on your CV. They'll just make you sit. They'll give you a case. Case is like a problem statement. Ki, for example, company X has a revenue of this, but for the last 3 months, they have been declining. There's a decline in revenue. So tell us why. And then you're supposed to create a structure ki kya issues हुए होंगे, dissect and reach a conclusion, right? This is a case interview. So consulting के लिए case prep होता है. So you would have seen on LinkedIn a lot of case books from all institutes, right? So consulting prep is this: ki you sit with friends, do all cases, you go through 100, 150 cases. If you are sitting for marketing, the interview is all about GTM strategies. You would understand marketing, right?
Yeah.
So marketing interviews में वही होता है कि they'll give you some situation कि okay, you are the head of Pepsi and one of your batch is faulty. What do you do? right? Then there's general management जहाँ पूछ रहे हैं कि it's all about ethics. कि if there's a faulty batch, do you just let it go or do you inform the customers? You get it? So it's more
Got
about the person there. Marketing is more about your skills. Genman is more about your personality. Product management in its own is very technology driven. Do you understand tech? Right. So each of the sectors preparation varies drastically. But yeah, the goal is कि you start preparing a month or 1.5 months in advance before the placements, and the intensity keeps rising till the 1 week, one last week. That last 1 week, you'll see everybody cramming up just talking about placements, and then in 3 days everyone gets placed, right?
So talking about interviews, so what was the most toughest question you have ever faced in an interview, be it before MBA or during your summer placement or be it your final placement?
Okay, so let me think about IMA. The toughest question usually are obviously, like, see, it depends. Let's just say if you're applying for a particular sector and they ask you a question that you don't know about. They ask you, let's just say, applying for finance and you don't understand a simple finance term or you just forgot about it. So that becomes your toughest question, right? If I have to recall for me, I remember there's this one framework that was taught to us in class. And in the interview, I sort of said, because it's like the framework वहाँ apply हो जा रहा था. So I'm like, you know what, you can use this framework. And then he asked how. And I couldn't recall the exact steps of the framework, right? So now that became a very challenging situation because I only brought the framework up in the interview. So that typically ends up being a very challenging part. But honestly, interviews mein na, you can prepare well enough to tackle any question. And obviously they wouldn't put you on spot. You don't know one question, they move on to the next, right? But toughest question usually are something which we call PRQs, or like personal questions. Like they'll ask you questions like, what are the 3 challenges that you faced in your life so far? Now these questions obviously you can rehearse, learn and answer and go, but interviewers are very skilled and experienced professionals. They can catch your eye. So isme being honest and truthful about yourself is little difficult, and a lot of people here struggle with them. Matlab, technical questions everybody will answer, but these HRQs are where people struggle. So these sort of end up becoming the most challenging questions to answer in an interview.
So we are talking about tough. Now let's shift again and talk about the most funny interview experience which you have ever faced in your life.
Okay, funny interview. Yeah, see, so funny in the sense, I'll tell you 2 incidents. One was something very simple. The interview is going great. See, there's a time where you are in the interview, you give your introduction, and I remember I spoke about football, and then turns out the interviewer was also a huge football fan. The thing is, I love Barcelona. He liked Real Madrid. So now it became a rivalry thing. So he started talking about, oh, do you remember this match? And like, for the next 15, 20 minutes. So typically an interview here is 30 to 40 minutes. And for the first 15, 20 minutes, we are just discussing football banter. And it's 1v1. Like I'm talking about, oh, Barcelona is better. He's saying Madrid is better. And, we both of us sort of forgot that we are here for an interview. So that was one of the funny interview experiences. Obviously, another funny stories are when you mess up in an interview. Like, for example, ek din pe, there are students who have like 5 or 6 interviews lined up. So you're leaving one interview room and heading to the other, right? So you just got off an interview room and you are suddenly going to a different company. कभी कभी नाम गलत बोल देते हैं लोग, ठीक है? I mean, see, again, sounds very silly, but in that stress हो जाता है because you've been giving multiple interviews. कभी कभी role confuse हो जाता है. The role might be for a business analyst, you thought for a BDA. तो BDA का BA बोल दिया. And then that becomes a very funny moment ki, excuse me, this is not what I'm interviewing for.
So do you want to break any myth which is prominent in placement market and वो पूरा झूठ है or something like this?
Okay, so not a myth per se, but good to have thing is a lot of people just look at placements like, okay, the CTC is 35, chalo chalte hai. But obviously everybody knows CTC और in hand में बहुत फर्क होता है, right? A lot of people just look at the number, right? Expectation, obviously including mine, is ki if you're doing an MBA, it is to increase your salary. And while that is true, a lot of people, what they do is, let's just say before MBA, they're earning 15 lakhs per annum. And then MBA mein they saw a job which pays 30, and they all of a sudden think, okay, double salary, let me take it, right? But I believe MBA sort of gives you a platform to choose what career you want. See, there are a lot of careers जो सिर्फ MBA के through जा सकते हो, right? So I would rather suggest that rather than going just for money, it's better if you see, for example, if you want to end up in product management, ठीक है, और product management में whatever firms you want, they are not paying well. So a lot of people settle for some different sector, and then their life becomes completely different because you can't pivot to product management, right? So my suggestion is, or one myth is, कि rather than looking just at the CTC, look at the role what they're offering, look at the future potential. अभी तुम ठीक है, एक मतलब take a company which is not that great, paying a little lower, and look at your switch potential, right? So that is one myth. I have seen a lot of people in MBA just see the CTC number while applying to a company. Okay, company A is paying 30, B is paying 25, so obviously I'll go to A.
चले जाते हैं.
हाँ, exactly. So that is one myth because burnout is real. ठीक है, MBA के बाद think of it. Any company which is paying you 30 lakhs would expect work on the order of 30 lakhs, right?
True.
तो ऐसा नहीं है कि 30 lakhs पे करके तुम 8 ही घंटे काम कर रहे हो. So if you're working 14 hours and the work is not something that you like, so then you will get burned out in like 1 year, 2 year or something.
Yeah.
So that is one of the myths that is true. And you know, even for people who are not in MBA colleges yet, who are like, you know, aspirants like you, people just look at CTCs given by colleges, right? Now, isme there are multiple things. Like Ahmedabad has an audited report, so that is something you can trust. Okay, most colleges I would assume that the reports are true, but the way CTCs are calculated are very different. So, for example, the company A fixed pay add kar raha hai, then there's variable component, and then there's a stock plan which goes for 5 years. So 5 lakh का मिला के stock is 20 lakhs, but that 20 lakhs is counted in 1 year का CTC. So all of a sudden your CTC looks like 45 lakhs, but in hand salary is 20 lakhs. समझ रहे हो?
About that.
So this is not a scam. This is how CTC works, ठीक है? But it's also important to see कि जो CTC है उसका breakup क्या है, right? People look at the highest CTC, median CTC. That's all good to look at, but it's always better to know the reality of the placements before, like, you know, rather than just looking at these three numbers. कोई भी कॉलेज के ब्रोशर पे देखोगे तो you'll see this highest average, highest package, average and median. And while these are very good indicators, ठीक है, तीनों से तुम you can gauge a college. It's not the end of it, like, right? तो ये एक myth है कि just that number does not mean anything.
So during placement, you might be giving lot of interviews, lot of CV is not being shortlisted by the company. So during the rejection phase, what was your state of mind and how do you deal with that rejection?
Right. No, absolutely. Rejections are not just common, it's a part of the system. ठीक है? So here, when we get company का job description, obviously, if it's a good company, if it's a top company, let's just say any top consulting firm, right? All 500 people in the college are going to apply to it. Nobody is going to self-reject कि अरे नहीं मेरा तो होगा ही नहीं. You still take a chance, right? But the company only shortlists like 50 people because if they want 10, they might take only 50 interviews. उससे ज़्यादा interviews वो भी नहीं लेंगे. So the rejection rate is 9 out of 10, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you apply to 50 companies, you'll hardly have like 5 or 10 shortlists. You'll get rejected by a lot of companies, and all this rejection happens in that 1 week that I'm talking about, placements ke pehle. It's very important that you don't get phased by that rejection, because see, one thing very important is you have to have absolute faith in your college, your placement team or your college कि you will get placed, ठीक है? Because as long as you don't have that confidence, तुम हमेशा स्ट्रेस पे रहोगे कि यार 5 ही कंपनीज है, 5 में नहीं हुआ तो मेरा क्या होगा? I'll remain unplaced, right? But if you have absolute faith in your college or your placement team that they'll get you placed, then that fear goes away. Then it's just a matter of time. ठीक है, पहली में नहीं हुआ, दूसरे में नहीं हुआ, तीसरे में हो ही जाएगा. आज नहीं हुआ, कल हो ही जाएगा, right? So having that confidence really helps. ठीक है? A lot of times I understand कि 100% placement नहीं हो पाता. And obviously, even अगर नहीं हो पा रहा है, college will always try to get it to 100, right? But अगर तुम पहले से ही डरे रहोगे in the shortlist phase itself that okay, I applied to 20 companies and only got 3 shortlists. So you will definitely tank these interviews because you're all stressed कि पहली में नहीं हो, अभी 2 ही बची है. And think of it that way. When you are sitting for the second interview, your mind is constantly thinking, यहाँ नहीं हुआ, so I only have one option, right? So that sort of will in a way hurt your interview. It's always better to not look at shortlist. Obviously, it's disheartening. ठीक है? You see your dream company. Let's just say Google is your dream company to go to. You applied to it. They had some assignment. अपने assignment भी top notch submit किया है. But because of some or the other reason, company also has their own criteria, right? You didn't get a shortlist. It's obviously you'll get disheartened. तुमने 6 घंटे मेहनत की थी, you dreamed about going to that company और नहीं हुआ, right? But this time is very crucial because it's a very short time. So एक हफ्ते में ये पूरे बहुत सारे कंपनी के तो 1 night before you get the shortlist, right? So you can't get faced then जब अगले दिन सुबह 8 बजे you have interviews, right? So my strategy is कि rather than looking at the rejection, just see किस चीज की shortlist and try to make the most of it. I know it sounds like ज्ञान and it's not practical, but trust me, at some point you have to focus on the positives. वरना नहीं होगा placements, right? As simple as that.
So moving to, we have talked a lot about placement. Now let's move on to the advice for MBA aspirants and fresh graduates का दोबारा section है. So this is mass of my audience which will be watching the video. So most important part of this podcast we will start now. So let's start with your journey first. Like if you have to restart your journey from the day you have graduated from your under degree college and you want to start prepping for CAT, what would be your strategy now after seeing this complete stand?
So for CAT preparation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, one thing is you go to YouTube, you look at CAT strategies, you'll see 100 different strategies by 100 different people. And all of them are successful, right? All of them have cracked it, 99 plus, सब अच्छी जगह place हुए हैं. But the thing is, strategy is very unique to the individual. ठीक है? Now, for example, let's talk about you. If you have a good aptitude in language, VAR से अच्छे से समझ में आ रहा है, you can easily focus on the other two sections. And if that's the case, you can sort of think about starting late. Preparation, like you can start preparing in April and still be good to go in November, right? So I would suggest the first step of preparation is to sort of gauge, because see, there are 3 sections in the CAT exam, right? There's DILR, VARC और cons, right? 3 ही section है, pattern उतना drastically change होता नहीं है. So first step is to gauge how are you in each of these section. Myself being an engineer, I knew कि cons में मुझे ज़्यादा मेहनत नहीं लगेगी. DILR is doable, language is something is doable, but मुझे थोड़ा effort डालना पड़ेगा, right? So which is why I started preparation a little bit early, just to make up for that lost time, right? So that is one of the first things to do, कि gauge yourself, time लगाओ, because see, you go to coaching or not, you do require a good 4 or 5 months of preparation before you even start giving these mocks and everything, right? So it is important to gauge कितना time लग रहा है. I myself joined IMS, I think. I joined the practical physical classes. So I took over a year of practical, like physical classes, and then I started to test series. So spent a lot of times with, what do you say, just coaching and not focusing on exams. But I do see a lot of my friends here who just spent like 3 months learning the concepts and then just went to give 2 or 3 mocks and then got here. Yeah. So it's very individualistic, but one thing that I would tell my like past self is, if I had to prepare for MBA again, is to start a little bit early, because it's not about giving more time. You can pace it accordingly, because obviously, see, when you're preparing, not everybody, so people who are in college, who are in their final year and preparing, ठीक है, they're doing their college and everything, but people who are like, especially working professionals, they're also juggling work. And trust me, work is the most unpredictable thing. Abhi, your work is still, you're spending 8 hours a day. You have no idea, tomorrow you might get a project and you're busy for like 12 or 13 hours a day. And then a preparation goes for a toss. So you always need to have that contingency period of 1.5 months. Just keep that period so that, you are well equipped no matter what changes in your work, right? And this is true for freshers also. Personal life, maybe, some or the other thing might happen. You might move to a different city, something or the other, something personal in your family, some cousin's wedding, whatever it is, right? So my suggestion would be to start as early as possible. Not like तुम second year में हो and you're preparing for CAT, right? That's ruining your college life. So obviously enjoy your college life, but give adequate time कि even if you have to take a pause of 1 month or 2 months in between, you're still okay for that November attempt, because unlike JEE or other exam, CAT only happens once a year, right? So if you're not prepared for November, it means agla ek saal, right?
Cool.
So that's one thing. That's it.
Okay, so let's say a person has cleared his CAT, done with all the GDPR processes, and now he's at this stage, which stage I am in right now, and he want to go into a good MBA college. So what will be the 3 skills you will suggest him to learn before going to an MBA institute?
Oh, so skills before joining MBA.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So one thing is, see, obviously this is something that we take for granted is office tools like PowerPoint, Excel. सबको पता है, सबको आता है. Like, you know, even in school, people make presentations. Even in college, you make presentations. You use Excel for calculations. But trust me, the moment you join an MBA institute, the level of presentations and Excel that you will be using is drastically different. And a lot of people struggle with this because they're like, कभी life में किया ही नहीं, right? कभी इतना focus किया नहीं. Everybody makes presentations, but you would have seen on LinkedIn the kind of consulting decks that you see, the kind of
Yeah.
effort that goes behind it. And then what happens is you've joined an MBA institute, and MBA is all about presentations. Okay? Every week you'll be giving one presentation, and then you see there are people who are making amazing presentations, people who come from work experience, who have made some presentations during their work, right? And then you see your own presentation which has like word art, which has those animations, right? So at that time it can get very overwhelming. So it's always better. So if you are like, you know, done with your GDPI, you're waiting for results, it's always better to upskill these skills, right? This is for everyone, right? But specifically, let's just say if you're a non-engineer coming to an MBA institute, it doesn't hurt to learn a little bit of math, right? Because any MBA curriculum you see, we have like QM1, QM2, and you'll see engineers have done this in their like first year of engineering, so it becomes very easy. So it gets overwhelming for non-engineers to see their engineering friends get like 40 on 40, 50 on 50, and then you are struggling at 18 or 20, right? So you could have, and for engineers, say language skills, right? Communication skills. Ho gaya. We have a lot of OB area courses, right? So communication, a little bit, like mostly communication, because not just in classes, right? Everywhere from your interviews to in-class interactions, we have something called CP, which is class participation. All of these require good communication skills, right? So if you are someone who struggles with English, so this is a good time to brush up your English skills, right? Another thing is, this is not for MBA specifically, is building a profile, right? I know it's 2 months, ज़्यादा कुछ कर नहीं सकते, but if there's a certification, like for finance enthusiasts, CFAs are like, you'll see people who are like CFA1, CFA2, CFA3. These are all certifications. So if you could start up on some certification, some NGO work, doesn't hurt, right? It just helps build your profile a little bit stronger.
So networking is also one of the skill which people need to focus on. So if you want to give some tips on how to be a better networker.
Yeah, so see, here I have seen like two kind of, like specifically MBA, you'll see two kinds of networkers. One is who's networking with everyone. Okay? And that's a great thing. You know, you're building a very diverse network, but one which has a lot of breadth but no depth, right? So you know like 100 people from 5 different sectors, but nobody, you know, no one deep enough to give you a job referral. So kya fayda, right? That's one kind of people. See, obviously, having a breadth has its own advantages, because any sector you talk about, you always have someone to talk to. There are other people who go into niche but form very good relationships, right? Be it with professors, be it some guest speaker came, just like, you know, how you guys came, like how Amar Chitrata came. So just talking to you, that's one connection. I stayed in touch, so this is a good network now, right? So things like that. So my suggestion would be the latter one. Like, not like don't exclude people from your network, but what I would suggest is, if you are in an MBA institute, you know the answer to why MBA. You sort of know what kind of career you're looking for. So try to align yourself with people who are in that sector, right? People like your immediate seniors who are going to those companies, people from your college, guest sessions के लिए जो आ रहे हैं, professors, especially professors, because trust me, let's just say you want to go to information system, IT area. So IS professors are your best bet, because they are industry experts. They have contacts in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So networking with your professor is something which is very underrated. People don't do it because they're like, professors hai, kya hi baat karenge? But trust me, these professors know industry folks. Like you'll see a very popular alumni from your institute was at one point a student. So they have respect for the professor. So if you request a professor, please get me in touch with that alum, they will, right? So networking ke liye, choosing your sector is there, obviously. Another thing is, if you're someone who's not sure what they want to do, then the former one works great. That you're just going on LinkedIn, finding people, finding alums from your institute. Like, you know, something as simple as just connecting on LinkedIn, right? Or like any guest session or speaker session that's happening in your institute, find time, attend it. If you like the session, irrespective of whether it's your sector, your area of expertise or not, go talk to the speaker after the session, get their contact. Like, goes a long way. And trust me, having an additional contact in your phone doesn't hurt, right? So
So
this is what I would suggest.
So right now, lot of people have already converted many calls. So we have, let's say, 3, 4 colleges with us right now. So what would be your strategy to choose the right college out?
So one thing that I've seen students, I mean not students, like a lot of people do is they just rely on rankings, right?
Yeah.
But rankings are highly subjective, right? If NIRF is saying that Institute A is better than Institute B, their parameters for judging might be very different than yours, right? Unka one of the factors, like typically if I talk about NIRF का one factor is PhD. अब PhD doctoral candidates कितने हैं does not affect your decision, right? So one thing I would suggest is don't go purely on rank, right? Go on a lot of what you want from MBA. ठीक है? If you're looking just for knowledge, go to an institute which has stellar faculties, right? If you want, like, you're really interested in research and you want to learn more about operations per se, go to a college which has specialized courses in operations. Go to a college which has great professors who teach operations, right? जैसा for coaching we have this maths के लिए ये sir famous है, science के लिए ये sir famous है. So obviously, like, so in MBA colleges also you'll find this. If placements is your goal, if career switch is your goal, so there are campuses which are specialized in like XLRI में HR is specialized, right? So if you want to be an HR, it's like a no-brainer. Go to XLRI.
Okay.
That should be a dream college. So obviously this is like a best case scenario, but let's just say you have 3 options, 3 or 4 colleges to choose from. Look at a variety of factors. One is what you want from MBA, right? Because trust me, it's not just CTC. It's like the kind of roles being offered. Let's just say there's a college one which is offering 40 LPA average, guaranteed 40 LPA, but all roles are HR, and you are an IT guy who wants to get into product management. क्या करोगे 40 lakhs का job लेके, right? So look at what the institute can give you. Second thing is look at the institute fit. ठीक है? Like, are you the right candidate for this institute, and is this institute the best fit for you, right? If you are someone who loves sports, okay, and you are joining an institute which is a day institute which is very rigorous, does not make sense, right?
Got it.
So तुम्हारी priorities, institute की requirements क्या है? It's like that. If you have the best institute student fit, trust me, will make the most out of MBA. But yeah, blatantly, just don't look at CTCs and join any college. Don't look at rankings, just rankings, and join a college. It's always a combination of these parameters. And obviously, like, before joining a college, talk to the seniors, like, the current batch. Because trust me, people who have graduated won't tell you all the details because they're done with it. They are working now. But the students, like first year, second year students from that institute, they are the best reality check. They'll tell you how good the college is. You might have heard a bad rumor about an institute, but you talk to the students there and you find out it's false, right? So that's the thing. Talk to as many current students in that institute before making a decision is what I would suggest.
So now this aspirant is finally in a college. So what will be your guide कि ये गलती कभी मत करना भाई?
Don't get complacent. But that is, I mean, it's a very obvious and self-explanatory thing. But what happens is, trust me, because you go through such a grueling process, you prepare for CAT, you clear CAT, you get a very good percentile. आपने interview ace किया, you got into your dream college. Now you feel very accomplished. ठीक है, तुम्हारा placement भी हो गया, चलो SIP हो गया, you got an internship into a very top shot company. What a lot of people do is, ठीक है, now I'll chill, right? But the thing is, MBA is a very short duration course. It's 2 years, but trust me, 2 साल कब निकल जाते पता नहीं चलता. And then you feel like I have not made the most of my MBA life. So I would suggest don't get complacent just because you have ticked a few boxes out of your bucket list, right? Keep looking out for more opportunities. Keep going for we have something called case competitions, which is prevalent entire year. Some other company keeps having the case competitions. Be very active in this. There are sport events. Like IIM Ahmedabad has something called Sangharsh, which is like a competition between the top IIMs. So ABC and Lucknow, all 4 colleges. So this is a sports event, inter-IIM sports event. So a lot of people are like, "Arey, kyun karna hai?" I myself didn't go for it. This is something I regret, right? So don't be complacent. Don't see. Another thing is, trust me, MBA colleges organize a lot of speaker sessions for you. but you are like, अरे सुबह 6 घंटे classes कर लिए, now I'm in no mood for speaker session and I don't even like the speaker, so I will not go. But you end up losing something very important, like some experience that they would have told you, some tricks or some learnings that they would have passed on, which you miss out on. ठीक है, trust me, मैंने भी ऐसे, if out of 100 sessions organized by IMA, I would have attended less than 10. That is something I do regret, right? So the thing is, you start looking at your MBA journey as a day per day, कि आज के दिन में 6 चीजें करनी थी, ये 6 चीजें कर ली, चलो I'm done with the day, right? Rather than I look at the long picture, that is one good advice for any MBA student.
So we just talk about case competition here. Can we go a little deeper in it, like what exactly it is and what is the outcome of winning?
Okay, so see, again, there could be n number of different type of case competitions. Let's start with the lowest one, which is institute-wise case competition. Every MBA college would have like a career club, right? Like let's just say consulting. So there would be a consult club, there would be a marketing club, and they organize case competition. Essentially, it's like they'll give you a problem statement, you submit a 5-slide deck, then they have these multiple rounds. Could be a starting, could be a quiz round, then is a PPT submission, then it's a proposal presentation, and one is a final presentation to the jury, right? Now the structure remains the same, but the levels are different. Top companies, all of the companies have their own case competitions, right? So Accenture has their B School Challenge. I think Marico has their own case competition. ITC has something called Interrobank. So all these companies across sectors launch their own case competitions throughout the year, and these are for all MBA aspirants. It's not exclusive that only one college is doing it, but cross. So you'll see Unstop is a very popular platform where you'll always find these case competitions, right? So the thing is, again, like the outcomes vary depending on the company. So it could be something as small as you just win it and you get a certificate or a CV point that, hey, you know what, I won this Marico challenge, or I won this ITC competition. Then there are competitions which have rewards, like in terms of cash prizes. I know this one friend here who won a Thar, right? In one of the case competition, I think it was a Mahindra case competition, he won a Thar, right? Much more lucrative is career opportunities. There are a lot of PPIs, which is interviews with the firm. There are PPOs, which is like direct job offer from the company, right? So winning a case competition, trust me, goes a long way. I know, like out of hundreds or thousands of teams which apply, only one team or only 3 or 4 teams win these awards. But trust me, MBA is all about building your CV, right? So even if you reach the campus finalist, that is one differentiating point you have amongst all the students of your campus. So let's just say if I'm the campus winner of, let's just say, company A's case competition, which means only I get to write in my profile or in my CV that I won the case competition, right? And now this is a differentiating point that only I have across my campus, right? So case competitions, obviously, trust me, it's like everybody would be doing it, okay? But it's a huge value add. Forget the monetary prizes, okay? But something as simple as a career opportunity, right? If let's just say you win the case competition and you get a an offer, that means you're holding a job even before placement starts. So that gives a very different level of confidence to you, right? So case competition is a huge part of your MBA life. A lot of people overlook it, but I would suggest, like, at least participate in as many case competitions as you can, because forget award, you learn how to dissect a problem. Because see, all case competitions follow the same structure. The company will present a problem. You're supposed to typically submit a 3-slide presentation. That's the first round. If you clear it, it's a detailed 5 or 10 slide. If you clear that, it's a jury presentation, right? And then there's national level, international level, whatever. But even the most basic level teaches you how to dissect a problem, how to create that, how to give your solution, whatever you thought, how to cram that into 3 slides, right? Now that's a skill that goes a long way. So something like that.
So again, PowerPoint is very important. Okay?
PowerPoint is absolutely important. See, you would see all these LinkedIn posts saying, oh, PowerPoint is getting extinct, AI is replacing PowerPoint. But trust me, give Gamma a detailed instruction and let it, you'll see that it can't create presentations as good as a human can, right? So AI is not there yet where it'll make PowerPoint obsolete.
At the same time, there is another debate between Canva and PowerPoint. Which side are you in?
I'm on the PowerPoint side. See, it's not just about familiarity. Okay? PowerPoint is something that I've been using since school. So it's been like 15 plus years of PowerPoint. But remove that from the picture, the kind of things that you can do in PowerPoint, other than the design elements. See, I agree that Canva has fascinating design elements. Like trust me, I have used Canva design elements. I have made presentations on Canva too, not like I'm only a PowerPoint guy. But it's just that PowerPoint gives you the flexibility, like, it's because it's an whole ecosystem of Office, right? You can pick something from Excel, you can just integrate it here. Then the kind of data graphics that you can add on PowerPoint is something that I prefer. See, it's again a thing about preferences, right? So you could add different softwares. The extensions in PowerPoint are much better than Canva, I feel, right? So overall, if I have to make up, like, there are toolkits. So for specific graphs, MBA graphs, the normal charts and all, like bar histogram, does not suffice. You need some very specialized charts. Now I feel that PowerPoint has these extensions which are much better than what Canva has to offer, right? So which is why I am a PowerPoint guy. But again, it's a person to person thing.
So yeah, let's बहुत ज़्यादा ज्ञान हो गया. Let's move on to the fun and थोड़ा chill round. So tell me the weirdest thing you have seen on the campus.
Okay, weirdest thing on campus. On campus, I'll have to think. Like, give me like a couple of minutes. I'll come back to this question.
Yeah.
See, weirdest thing would be students chilling, honestly. Pata hai kya? Because you just assume that everybody is busy with classes. And then you see one group of people who are just playing cricket. And you are like, how do these people manage time? Because, होता ऐसा है कि एग्जाम्स है. दिन में 2 एग्जाम्स है. कल सुबह 8 बजे एग्जाम है, फिर 2 बजे वापस एग्जाम है. And then night 3 a.m. you are seeing a group of people playing cricket. And they have the same exams. And you are like, wait, what is happening? So that's one of the weirdest things I found. How do people make time for things, right? But yeah, again, I'll give you a better answer to this.
Yeah.
So let's say your complete MBA journey to create a Bollywood movie on it. What would be the title of?
Okay, so obviously, see, the most obvious title that comes to my mind is MBA is all about ups and downs. Okay, one day you're feeling amazing, one day you are very low, you're very depressed. So Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum is like such a cliche title that comes to my mind. Because like there are days, forget days, there are like times of the days. You went to 8:45 class, you're very happy. Then 10 o'clock, kisi subject ke grades aa gaye, and you saw you got a B minus. Now all of a sudden your day is ruined. 10:20 you go, it's your favorite professor ka class, he cracks a joke, you're happy again. So it's a very apt title. I know, very cliche, but it's a very apt title for like MBA journey per se.
And what was your favorite subject?
Oh, favorite subject. I think for me, operations in general, like the entire major was one of my favorite. Like we have like 3 modes of like we have operations 1, 2, 3. So that particular subject or that focus area is one of my favorites because trust me, operations is something which you don't learn before MBA unless you're doing a specialized degree in operations. But it's present across sector. It's a sector agnostic disciple, right? Because what happens is operations teaches you the basics of, like, think about it, anything, right? Like for example, your job at Amar Chitra ka tha, right? Your day-to-day activities require some sort of operations, right? There's some sort of scheduling, there's some sort of sequences involved. So you start seeing how your day-to-day things which you have not thought about before, now you start looking at it from a different angle, right? Initially it was just like, oh, main subah utھ ke ye kiya wo kiya. For example, look at metro. You go to office, you never think of scheduling. But then think about it, one train leaves, only then does another train can come, right? So things like this, after you learn subjects in class, you start appreciating these small things. So operations in a way gave me a lot of perspective. And trust me, it might look like a very underlying subject, but it's one of the most used subjects even in your internships or in your job. Okay? You might be like a data scientist, you might be working as a consultant, you might be working as product manager, but your job will still involve some or the other degree of operations. So having those concepts really help. So operations was my favorite.
Yeah.
So there are multiple jargons which a person go through with MBA journey. Which was the one jargon you hated the most?
Okay, so one jargon that I hated the most has to be the word bottleneck. Okay? So I mean, I'm sure you understand what bottleneck is, but just to explain the audience, it's basically, let's just say one task has 5 processes. The process that takes the most time, right, is the bottleneck. And it's a very popular operations term. You'll see everyone using it everywhere. But hota kya hai, with time, we have started using it in personal life. So for example, 5 दोस्त बाहर dinner के लिए जा रहे हैं, एक दोस्त बहुत time ले रहा है तैयार होने में. So I would say something like, अरे यार, Shikhar is the bottleneck here. So the thing is, like, that word has made into my vocab so much that I've started using it in my personal life, and then you hate it. The moment I say it, I see like the other 3 friends are like, अबे यार, क्या बोल दिया? So bottleneck is one term or one jargon that you would see all MBA students using. Trust me, before MBA also people use it, but it's so prevalent in MBA. But at the same time, after a point, you start using it everywhere.
Coming to your classes in IIM Ahmedabad, I know you can't miss them a lot. But is there any instance you have missed the class and you have given a very funny excuse or a very weird excuse that this was the reason?
Yeah. So see, the thing is, IMA में obviously attendance is mandatory. It's 100%. So you
Okay.
can't have any of leisure holidays, right? So the only there's a, like the academic, sorry, the book that we get, the rule book per se, it has 4 or 5 different sets of leave reasons that you can have for it. Like, it could be a personal emergency, it could be a very close family member's marriage. There are like 4 or 5 different kind of leaves that you can take, right? We also have a 80% attendance rule that even with these leaves, your attendance has to be at least 80%. So you wouldn't see a lot of students taking leaves for no reason. So officially, there's like zero student who takes leave for any reason but medical, right? But again, like, you understand how a college works. And again, so one of the funniest reasons is like, you lying that I had a very high fever for an 8:45 lecture. See, for example, you slept off. Okay? You woke up at 9, you had a class at 8:45. And then you go to the doctor, you say, I have a fever, submit that for the 8:45 lecture, but you attend a 10 o'clock lecture. And now the faculty is like, you had a fever, why are you attending the second class? Right? So you'll see reasons like this, reasons which don't make sense. Morning you are saying ki I am so weak I can't get out of my bed, and evening you're playing football. Right? But funny reasons per se we don't have on. See, honestly, you don't have to give a reason per se. If you're absent, it goes into the system. Then you are required to sort of submit an attendance form, medical form. Your leave gets approved or rejected. So you don't get an opportunity to give a funny reason, but people still try to find different ways to game the system.
So coming to another question, like there are multiple stereotypes related to each B school. So which is the one stereotype of IIM Ahmedabad which is actually true?
Okay, so one thing that you'll hear everyone talk about IMA is that the A in IMA stands for what? Can you guess?
I mean, A stand for no idea.
It's academics.
Yeah, अच्छा वैसे.
A in IMA stands for academics. And you'd find it funny कि यार ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. But trust me, one term in IMA and you'll realize that ठीक है, academics के ऊपर कुछ नहीं है. Trust me, to the point where even the placement process is designed so that it doesn't affect the academic schedule. So for example, hypothetical example, IMA में तो नहीं होगा. Let's just say you have an interview at 3 o'clock and you have a class at 3 o'clock. You are expected to attend the class and not the interview. So academics is everything in IIM Ahmedabad, and that is one of not the myth, but it's a very stereotype that like IIM Bangalore ka hai, it's the place to be, right? You'll see this tagline everywhere. IIM Ahmedabad ka is ki A in IIM stands for academics. So that's one of the very popular stereotype, which is true.
But-
And second is on the funnier side, IMA is known to find you a job and a partner. ऐसा सब बोलते हैं कि IMA से तुम डिग्री भी लेके निकलते हो, नौकरी भी लेके निकलते हो और पार्टनर भी लेके निकलते हो. So that's another stereotype about IMA. Not sure how true that is, but yeah.
So we have skipped a question like which is the weirdest thing you have seen in MBA class?
See, weirdest thing during class is I have seen you'll see सामने बहुत serious discussion चल रहा है, like there's a class participation happening on a very serious topic, and then there's one guy जिसका laptop खुला है और वो Coldplay की tickets book कर रहा है. There are people who are watching like cricket matches, there are people who are watching F1 during classes, right? So they're one of the weirdest thing. ये तो ठीक है, normal है, but very you'll see people just buying things off. I remember one of the classes, I was sitting and I just saw this guy buy a completely new laptop, and I'm like, bhai, how can you just buy a laptop like this in class, right? So this is, these small incidents, but yeah, you'll see people sleeping. Oh, one of the weird thing is, trust me, in a class of 90 people, we have those circular classrooms. You'll see people sleeping in the most uncomfortable position. Like you'll think, ऐसे तो possible ही नहीं है. Even like if I'm in my bed with like full AC and I can't sleep in this position, you'll see people sleeping like this in class. First bench पे बैठ के सो रहे हैं, and you're like, confidence.
So let's say कि IIM Ahmedabad has closed the doors for you. Which will be the another B school you will happily go in?
Oh, this question I'm not answering. See, the thing is, the plan was always Ahmedabad. Trust me. So I have told you before this. Like this was my second CAT attempt. First was in 2020.
Yeah.
So the goal was always to go to Ahmedabad. See, not like the rest of the colleges are not good. Okay, all colleges more or less are good. I honestly gave interviews for ABC all three colleges. Okay, so to truthfully answer your question, I wouldn't mind going to any out of these three, right? But I was like, if I had to choose between the three, any day I would choose A, right? Even after 2 years of Ahmedabad, even if I have to make a choice today, I'll choose A. It's my preference, okay? Not like superiority or something. It's just my preference. But yeah, if I didn't get into Ahmedabad, I would happily go to like Bangalore or Calcutta. Equally good colleges, equally good placement, equally good career opportunities.
So we have already talked more than 52 minutes and time का बिल्कुल भी पता नहीं चला. So I guess I have to wrap this up क्योंकि मेरे को edit भी करना है. So thank you so much, Yash. जाने से पहले any parting thoughts, anything which you like to share with the audience?
So see, for the audience, yeah, I mean, trust me, अभी ये भी 52 minutes of ज्ञान सुना है सबने. ज्ञान सभी देंगे, ठीक है. I am not one of the best people at imparting knowledge. You'll see all these gurus, MBA gurus on LinkedIn, YouTube, everywhere. 10 people will tell you 10 different things. Take everything, every information you hear with a pinch of salt. ठीक है. Even if a student like me from IMA is saying कि भाई ये कर लो, CAT निकल जाएगा, that is something that worked for me. I don't know if it will work for you or not. So any knowledge, any information, any strategies you get from people, always take them with a pinch of salt. ठीक है. That is something that worked for them, great. Might not work for you, might work for you, right? So that is one. Another thing is, ठीक है यार, see, getting into a dream MBA college is obviously a big step. But if you don't get your dream college, it's not the end of the world. ठीक है. I know people who have done their MBA from like let's say tier 2 colleges, tier 3 colleges, and are earning as good as a lot of people from here, or as good as what I learned, right? So what job you get has a lot to do with what institute you are in. But at the same time, तुम IIM में आके अगर कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो, you're not good at academics, तुम network नहीं बना रहे हो, you'll end up in a very shitty placement. ठीक है. So what it is कि तुम जहाँ हो, how you make the most of your 2 years is something that will differentiate you from the rest. A tier 3 or tier 4 MBA graduate has the potential to earn as much as a tier 1 college graduate, right? So just even if you don't get into your dream college, that's not the end of the world. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yash, for your time. It was lovely talking to you, and I will keep poking you जब भी मेरे को दिक्कत आएगी.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is always fun,
Yeah.
like, having this interaction with you is always fun. And I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
But yeah, last few days of college, इसके बाद भी we'll keep having these sessions.
Done. Anything specific आएगा तो we can take care.
हाँ. I hope the next time I talk to you, you're already an MBA student.
Yeah, I hope so. घुस जाऊंगा तो कंटेंट बना पाऊंगा नहीं, but I will try my level best. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Closing statement और बाद में रुक अब.
ठीक है, चलो.
So thank you so much for watching this podcast. थोड़ा मेरे ऑडियो का इशू था, I know. I have tried my level best कि मैं ऑडियो रिकवर कर सकूं क्योंकि मेरा माइक रिकॉर्ड नहीं कर पाया था, तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा इशू वहाँ पे आया है. तो पहला पॉडकास्ट था, इट इज़ अ लर्निंग फॉर मी ऑल्सो, सो आई विल ट्राई माई लेवल बेस्ट कि अगली बार ये गलती ना हो. लेट मी नो योर ओपिनियन इन द कमेंट सेक्शन बिलो कि हम और किन गेस्ट को बुला सकते हैं एंड किस तरीके के हम पॉडकास्ट कर सकते हैं. एंड डोंट फॉरगेट टू लाइक टू दिस वीडियो क्योंकि काफ़ी मेहनत लगी है पॉडकास्ट बनाने में. एंड ऑल्सो डोंट फॉरगेट टू सब्सक्राइब टू दिस चैनल ताकि आप रेगुलरली मेरे कंटेंट से अप टू डेट रहें. एंड बिग थैंक्स टू यश फॉर बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट. ही हैज बीन ऑलवेज वेरी हेल्पफुल टू अस. इफ यू वांट टू फॉलो हिम, आई हैव शेयर्ड हिज लिंक्डइन इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स बिलो. यू कैन गो एंड फॉलो हिम. एंड ऑल्सो डोंट फॉरगेट टू फॉलो मी ऑन लिंक्डइन एंड इंस्टाग्राम. वहाँ पे मैं रेगुलर अपडेट्स डालते रहता हूँ. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.